Welcome, everyone, to episode 63 of the Video Game Book Club. I'm Tubby Mora, and today I am joined by Mr. McMahon Nakuso, and making his first ever VGBC debut, Bard. Say hello, everyone.
What up,
What's up?
And this time around, we're going to be talking about Luigi's Mansion 3. This game was nominated by Tubby Mora, and it was selected on the Wheel of Mystery with a 101 out of 382 chance, or 26.4% chance of winning. Luigi's Mansion 3 was developed by Next Level Games, published by Nintendo, and was originally released on October 31st, 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. On Luigi Mansions 3 official website, it reads, quote, "The hotel of Luigi's dreams is his worst nightmare. The last resort hotel is not what it seems, unless it seems like a spooky haunted hotel, in which case it is what it seems. Either way, Luigi will have to slam, blow away, and vacuum up ghosts with his all-new Poltergust G00 to save his friends." But that is how the website describes the game. How would everyone here describe the game? And the order of presenting will be Nakuso, Mr. McMahon, Bard, and then Tubby Mora. And please be advised, there may be spoilers ahead. With that said, let's get started. Question 1. Describe the game in one sentence. Take it away, Nakuso.
All right, so I feel like Luigi's Mansion 3 takes the best ideas from previous installments and then sets a high bar in presentation for a Nintendo game with its incredible animations, but it still has annoying missteps along the way. What about you, McMahon?
All right. My one sentence, save Mario, Barbie, and some mushroom guys from a ghost with a big tongue in a spooky mansion disguised as a hotel that's basically a glorified escape room, and there's also a mean cat. What about you, Brad?
That's pretty good.
All right, I want to preface everything by saying I just discovered that the Poltergust G00 stands for Poltergust Goo, and that makes a lot more sense than G00.
Wow, that makes sense.
Makes sense.
It does. All right, one sentence to describe this game. A poor attempt at reviving a franchise that should have stayed stuck in 2001.
Okay.
How about you, Tubby?
For me, easy. As far as I know, this is the only Mario game that I could think of where you can have two Luigis sucking one toad, and that right there is a very special moment and experience. Next question. Question 2.
You can actually do it.
Wait, what are we talking about? That was a defining gameplay feature.
That's what's up.
One toad, two Luigis.
I respect that. I like that.
All right. Question 2. What platform did you play the game on? And what difficulty did you play on? And how many hours did it take you to finish the game?
So this is only on the Nintendo Switch because Nintendo will never bring anything else to the PC.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it took 13 and a half hours of sucking in Luigi's Mansion on the standard difficulty, which is default. Next.
Okay. I played Luigi's Mansion 3 on my limited edition Tears of the Kingdom OLED Nintendo
God
Switch
damn. Oh, frick.
in handheld mode.
Uh,
Yeah, so apparently I played the game on legendary difficulty. The game took me a little over 10 hours to beat. 5 of those hours was me getting stuck in the early game puzzles, and then the other 5 hours was me speedrunning the rest of the game with an IGN guide.
nice.
What about you, Bard?
So I, unlike the first two, played on multiple platforms. I had my first playthrough on my Switch and then played my second playthrough on the PC using an emulator. So there you go, Nakuso. Nintendo games do exist on the PC.
I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
My first playthrough took around 9 hours and 10 minutes. That was first time playing the game in well over 2.5, 3 years. And my second playthrough, with it being a lot more fresh in my memory, was about 8 hours and 30 minutes. And how about you, Tubby?
For me, I too played it on my Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom limited edition Nintendo Switch.
Whoa!
Just like Mr. McMahon. Unlike him, though, I played it in docked mode because that's the best way to stream it. I have yet to actually play the Switch in handheld mode with its OLED screen. We'll talk about that later. I played it on just the whatever difficulty the game has, and I spent 17 hours and 5 minutes sucking and big sucking everything I could. All right.
Oh man.
Dang, that's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
sucking. How did you suck that much?
Well, a lot of breaks and a lot of just talking with chat.
Oh, and hydrating.
Mm.
A lot of hydrating. I was like drowning myself
Yeah.
with water too. It's different. Like when you're streaming, like I've noticed my time is like always skewed higher. It's just because I'm like talking with everyone during the streams, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and move on to question 3. Describe your play style towards the game. Take it away, Noxo.
So majority of the game was played in docked mode, but I did play in the handheld mode in the beginning. I did a lot of exploration while focusing on the main objectives. Most of the puzzles I did according to the game. Some I did the optional ones along the way. And until Tubby told me that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things to collecting other stuff, but I still did a lot of the puzzles regardless. And I sucked a lot,
Nice.
like an unhealthy amount.
That's my boy.
Oh, no such thing. No such thing.
Dude, it was gross. I was
It was
seeing
just
everything.
gross.
I was
Oh,
sucking up
disgusting.
sheets, debris, ghost, toad, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Suck that toad.
That was my main play style tour. Oh, and I did a little bit of the scare scraper, and it was actually pretty fun. I just wanted to check out the multiplayer, which
Hmm.
surprisingly had some stuff that the main game doesn't, but we'll probably talk about that later.
Okay.
How about you,
Okay.
McMahon Meat?
Yeah. So, like when I first got the vacuum, I just sucked everything. You know, I was
Hell
getting a
yeah.
feel for the game. You know, getting a feel for the physics and stuff like that. And so that was kind of cool. You know, just going around sucking things, and then the game began to introduce more and more mechanics to your vacuum thing,
Your
and
polter suck.
then I got yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got stuck at the Luigi introduction, and I knew I was gonna be doomed at that point because I was like, this is just the beginning, man. Like, what's going on? And then let's see. And then I think it was like around the 6th floor when like depression began to settle in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just spending way too much time on those puzzles. It was destroying my mental. And then so like after the 6th floor, IGN just played the game for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
What about you?
Did you use
Bud?
video guides or did you use text?
Both.
Hell
because because some of the text on the guides was a little unclear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd go on YouTube and like look up the specific part I'm on. And actually, you know, I was pleased to see that wasn't just me. The people in the YouTube comments were also, you know, commenting about how they needed to see, you know, what was happening in the video in order to progress.
Mhm.
Like, and they were complaining about like the difficulty and stuff. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, what about you, Bard?
I played the game to finish it as fast as I could because I did not enjoy it. I did not go for any of the gems that weren't necessary or just automatically collectible along the way.
Mhm.
I, having had experience with all 3 Luigi's Mansions in history, coming into this one was mechanically a cakewalk for me, so I really didn't have to worry about learning any of the controls or anything. Although getting used to the amount of mechanics in this game was definitely interesting, as there's more mechanics and abilities than in probably, I think, both of the previous entries combined. So there was that little bit of a hurdle that I had to get around. But yeah, I played for speed. I played just to complete the game. I played just to get it done and over with.
Mm-hmm. Like Lightning
Oh, you said
McQueen. Lightning McQueen speed.
Oh, like
Your speed.
like Lightning McQueen.
Hell yeah.
I
Your
respect
speed. For me, I have not played a Luigi's Mansion game since the first one, so I went from 1 to 3. For this game particularly, I tried to explore as much as I could, suck as much as I could. The journey and experience of Luigi's Mansion 3 came to the sucking and sucking. So, if I saw a room or if there was a collectible somewhere that I could see in plain sight, I would attempt to get it. It didn't matter what it was, who it was, what it was. I would just go over there and try to suck it in my vacuum. No guide, no nothing. I just kind of powered through it. There were a couple parts where I did get stuck, and I'm sure it'll be talked about later on. And of course, I just focused on the main story, especially the moment I found out that the collectibles didn't really have much to. Let's just say they just weren't worth it. Then I just really honed in on the main story at that point. But we'll talk about that in the other questions. So let's move on to question 4. What is one thing you like about the game and why? Take it away, Noxo.
So for me, it's the many animations for Luigi and the presentation of the game. Just like the interactions with the game's darker tone with its graphics, not as quite as atmospheric as the first game, but the colors pop out more in this one. And there are a few Nintendo Switch games where I am generally impressed with how good it looks on the TV. Most of the time, there's a lot of jagged edges,
Mm-hmm.
but the way they portrayed and added anti-aliasing or some kind of technology to smooth out the edges, this game looks really good. This is like legit. Maybe besides like Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
The other games, there's some other games, but they're mostly like 2D or pixel based. But this one completely amazed. Breaking pots, chairs, tables, toilets, Tubby's favorite.
Hell yeah.
There's so many
Toilets.
destructible environments, physics. Surprisingly, the game didn't explode or crash.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just impressed with everything all around. I legit played for like 10 minutes on floor 10 in the sand just to see the physics. And I was seeing how much of the sand I could just like suck up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did any of you guys suck up the entire room's worth of sand?
Oh, of course.
Almost. I was really close. I did draw a penis in there though. So that
Classic. I mean, that's
There you
rite of
go.
passage.
That was my next question.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good.
But yeah, it was like just super cool. And in my opinion, this is one of Charles Martinet's best work in terms of like voicing and like overall the voices throughout the game. Like Helen Gravely's voice. And surprisingly, her character, just like everything just seemed a little bit beyond normal Mario based games. And I
Mhm.
was just surprised overall, especially coming from 1 to 3. I didn't get to play Dark Side of the Moon on the 3DS.
Mhm.
It was just a nice
Dark
surprise.
Moon.
Oh, Dark Moon. Thank you.
Mhm.
On the 3DS.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon is a level on Odyssey.
And potentially a Mulan song.
Okay.
Right?
Next.
Wait, no, maybe not. Okay.
Okay. One thing I liked about the game. Okay, so I really wanted to like something about the game. As I was playing through, you know, I'm asking myself the VGBC questions as I play through the game, and I'm taking notes as well. But to be honest, at the end of the game, there was nothing that stood out to me. I mean, I guess like what Nakusa mentioned, the physics and animations were neat, and it ran well on the Switch. Those are pluses. But there was nothing really that stood out to me that I felt like was worth mentioning and explaining. But yeah, so yeah, physics, animation, it didn't explode my Switch. That's cool.
It's always a positive.
Yeah, I guess
It didn't crash.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
That's a huge one,
I had
dude.
one crash.
Oh, on the Switch?
Was that on PC or Switch?
Or was it an emulator?
Yeah, no, that was on Switch.
Oh,
Oh,
dang.
dang.
I was also
Unlucky.
playing unpatched. So
Oh, okay.
Okay. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just too lazy to actually connect my Switch to the internet. So I
It's a
popped the
valid
cartridge
reason.
in, played the game unpatched, and said, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll just deal
No,
with it."
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Well, what about you, Bart? What did you like about the game?
All right, I'm with Yumi. There wasn't much to like. I do have to, as a longtime fan of the series, though, give it to who was it? Next Level Games. That's
Yeah.
the studio.
Yep.
I do have to give it to them in that their variation in puzzles, after making it more of a puzzle-based game rather than a combat-based game, they really upped it and made it feel like more of an experience than Dark Moon was.
Mm-hmm.
Because it went from absolutely no puzzles or the most minimal puzzles in the original Luigi's Mansion to a combination of both puzzles and combat in the second installment.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one felt like more puzzles than combat, which if they're gonna do that, at least make the puzzles good. And I felt like there was enough variation and enough interesting puzzles that were offered to give us something to enjoy. From the timed puzzles on the 10th floor, the tomb suites, to the to what we're seeing on stream here, the arrow puzzles that you need Luigi for in Castle McFrights. It just seemed like every floor had a different reason to use all of your tools at your disposal, and yeah, it made the game feel at least slightly playable. Why don't you make it positive, Tubby?
For me, a lot of it is gonna kind of go towards what Naxo was saying, because he already covered the whole environment thing. So I'll just talk about the levels and worlds. I appreciate the fact that this game had such a huge variety. I was just glad that each floor was very different from each other. Like it were just the concepts and the theming was just so different from each other, and I just really enjoyed it. Like one moment you're fighting a ghost Sharknado on a freaking pirate ship, and then the next moment you're like fighting down the ghost of Beethoven on a stage. Then you're getting sand in your pants in an Egyptian themed level. Then you're fighting in Hell's Kitchen, fighting for the fucking lamb sauce from the chef. It's just like I love how it just kept changing with each floor. That's the one thing I looked forward to. It was just as I progressed through each of the floors, seeing what they would do, and just being blown away by not expecting what was gonna come up next. Because at first I was like, oh, this is just a standard hotel. They're just gonna do the basics, maybe a restaurant, maybe a store. And the next thing you know, they have like a pirate themed level, and then medieval.
Yeah, if you didn't play Dark Moon, you did not know what to expect for 3
Yeah,
years. Dark Moon really set the tone.
It shocked me, and I was pleasantly surprised and happy that they really just went for pure variety in the world design. So I definitely appreciate that.
So here's a question for everyone. Just a quick question. On the topic of floors, what was everyone's favorite floor?
Ooh,
design wise.
I think
This is probably going to be a controversial
I
one.
like floor. Yo, I was about to say that floor 11.
Mm-hmm. The floor with the 3 magic girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was fun.
My favorite one.
I think for me, just because of how absurd the boss fight got, it's probably the pirate ship one. Because I mean, like, cool.
I hated that floor. Having to go back down to B2 just to.
Yeah.
That sucked.
That sucked.
Really took it out for me.
But the
boss fight was fun. Yes.
The boss fight was really fun because I was like, okay, ghost shark, cool. Pirate ghost shark, cooler. Pirate ghost shark tornado. Oh my god, that's sick. Pirate ghost shark tornado that turns into a ship. I was like, okay, all right, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite bosses.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let me rephrase for you. Which floor did you hate the least?
The lobby.
The lobby.
Yeah. Okay. I like it. All right. Let's move on to question 5. What is one thing you did not like, and how would you improve it? Take it away, Naxo.
All right. So there's a lot of game padding in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, everyone here knows that the poster kitty. I don't know why they did that. The first time around it was fine. I was like, oh, that's cute, kind of messing around. But the second
The
time,
second time.
I was like, "Are you serious?"
Oh
I was
my
like,
Get out of
God.
here.
I was like, "Oh my god!" And it's not even that much different than before, besides going to a different floor. And
Yeah.
the Puzzle Kitty having a slightly different attack during the last bit. But why did they do that? That was absolutely an awful decision.
It's so
There's
cruel.
nothing worse than having to revisit floors you thought you finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially we had to revisit like floors that kind of had a good impression, at least for Tubby, like the pirate area.
Yeah.
And then you revisit the magician area, which I actually really liked that stage.
This was
And
game
then it kind
padding
of
at
made
that
me like, it
point.
kind of like soured me on like some of that. I was like, God, this is awful. That was
Mhm.
really the few times in the game where I was like, oh my God, this is a slog. And I just wanted it to be over. They could have easily made this Puncher Kitty into the boss fight with Helen Gravely. I think incorporating the cat and her and a boss fight would have been much
Yeah,
more fun.
that would have been
Also,
cool.
that boss fight is freaking annoying. But yeah, the Puncher Kitty. I don't know. This games, please. You don't need to just have game padding for the sake of it to extend it.
You know,
It's okay.
you know what else too? Now that you're bringing that up, it's like the other bad part too is like if you're gonna make us revisit a level, at least change something about the level.
Yeah,
you
like
know.
a change. Like if it was completely different, or it's in a different section that you couldn't access.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah. Exactly. Give us a reason. Not
Mhm.
not for game padding.
Just go back.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, man? Meat. What is
Ah.
one thing? Not 100.
Yeah, you only
That's
got one,
one
boy.
thing.
Dang it. Well, yeah, if of course, if I had to say, I'd pick everything. But for those that know me, that have spoken to me briefly about the game, I'm sure you already know. It's the puzzles.
It's the puzzles.
Hands down, easily the absolute worst thing about this game for me. What was it about the puzzles? I thought they were too damn hard, specifically for me.
Really?
Oh,
Yes.
it's a Nintendo game.
Now, this game helped me realize that I may be mentally handicapped, struggling to figure out puzzles that people half my age are probably figuring out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Even after figuring out a puzzle on my own, my sense of accomplishment was instantly clouded by frustration because of how simple the solution ended up being and how long it took me to get to that point. Now, how would I fix it? I mean, there's obviously probably a multitude of ways you could go about it. If I had the choice, I'd not fix anything because I'm the problem. No, I'm just kidding.
What the heck?
Serious. I mean, this might sound, absolutely cheesy, but I'd add a toggleable feature as an option for walking skill issues like myself. That Professor
Egad, these nuts.
EGAT, yeah.
Elvin
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the EGAT.
Mm-hmm.
Highlight key objects for you to interact with in order to
Interesting.
progress the story, along with highlighting key areas of the map that you should be checking out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that obviously that takes away like the entire puzzle aspect of it, figuring things out on your own. But for people like me, the special cases, I feel like something like this would, make the experience a bit more tolerable, honestly.
Honestly, though, I'm glad that you're bringing this up because one of Nintendo's things that they want to address, like a couple years back, I remember in an interview that they did, was they wanted to make their games more accessible. That's why if you look at a lot of the Mario games, like the 3D platforming, 2D platforming, if you die a certain amount of times, they actually give you the golden Mario that allows you to pretty much be invincible. Like you can choose to use it when you enter that room.
Super Mario Wonder has just straight up characters that you can't have power ups, but you also can't die.
Exactly. So I honestly don't think it's too far fetched of what you're suggesting too, because you're right. This is a kids game, and if kids are like struggling on certain areas, then it's like give them a little bit more tools to help them get to the puzzle, or at least get like some solutions that will help lead them to finish the puzzle, you know. So I don't
Yeah.
think you're far off, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you're able to like at least highlight an object,
Yes.
like the fan in the room that you were playing on yesterday, where it would like turn the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and there was like the red lasers and stuff. Like okay, highlight that. You know, let the player figure out, you know, what mechanics they have to use in order to interact with that object.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the puzzles, I hated it.
Okay.
Absolutely hated it. Yeah,
Yeah.
next.
All right, this is probably going to be the most critical of the dislikes. I have many dislikes, but my top 3 were extremely critical,
Mhm.
and I tore this game to shreds in my form. The combat, if you would call it that, even.
Oh,
in
good
this
one.
game.
Good one. Okay.
In the first 2 entries, the combat felt a lot more tense, especially the first game. You had to use your poltergeist vacuum a lot more before slamming ghosts in Dark Moon, and purely the vacuum in the original. There were not very many options of taking out ghosts faster in the previous entries of the franchise. That led to tension. That led to, am I going to be able to capture this ghost in one large suck, or is this going to have to be 2 or maybe even 3 phases for a boss fight? Now, you only need to suck up about 20 HP from any ghost in this game, and you get to absolutely slam the bejesus out of them and just obliterate them from existence. And I feel like that slamming mechanic made the game too easy. I generally think that any way that you can just take a health bar with an already developed mechanics such as the poltergeist's sucking feature and just adding a way to infinitely do more damage, it's going to make a bit of a difference in difficulty 100%. It also forces you into using the slam for certain ghosts, as once you reach a certain threshold for damage with sucking, the ghost will immediately break its connection to your poltergeist and run away. You have no choice but to slam the ghost unless you want to make it a 5, 6, or even 7 phase fight. Another point of conflict that I didn't get behind was not taking damage from ghosts directly. In the original entry, I can't remember for Dark Moon, but this goes back to the tension of combat. In the original entry, if you were being dragged and not putting your control stick the opposite direction of that ghost, you would take damage. You would get dragged across the floor, and your damage numbers would, or like your health would go down. That wasn't a thing in this game. It felt like there was no risk reward for being more aggressive towards a ghost. It just felt like I can be as reckless as I wanted to be, and so long as I didn't actually get hit by a ghost's attack, I was as safe as could be. I didn't die once in this game, and I just felt like that was a bit frustrating for me. I wanted a bit more of a challenge.
Okay.
What about you,
And I
Toby?
agree. And I agree with that. Everything you said, especially if you played the first game,
Mm-hmm.
it was way more intense and way more difficult. I just turned my brain off most
Yeah.
of the time.
Going back to the first game, the area bosses, Chauncey, Bogmire, Bulossus, and King Boo, they're portrait frames from bronze, silver, and gold. Unlike the portrait ghosts, where it's just a matter of how much of their health you suck up in one suck, the area ghosts were however much health you had by the end of the boss fight. There's no things like that reward your health pool in this game. It kind of rewards dying because it just gives you those revives,
Yep.
which I thought
The
were
little
just
bones.
golden bones.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't
Which
skip the
I thought
cutscene.
fair. Yeah, no, I just thought combat, the way that Next Level made combat in this game, they just made it way too easy. They made it I mean, you have to make it a kid-friendly game. It is Nintendo. It is Luigi's Mansion after all. But give me a difficulty. Give me a
Mhm.
difficulty option. Allow me to play a difficulty where I can take damage from getting dragged by ghosts. Allow me to play a difficulty where I can only use the vacuum suction power, not slamming or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For me, one thing I didn't like, how I would improve it. I spoke a little bit about this during my stream. when you have a game like this where the whole focus is exploration and discovering new areas, like it's cool and all. And you if you do explore and you decide to take the challenge of trying to solve some of the harder puzzles and just go all in and you get a bunch of money. What's unfortunate about that? It's unfortunate that you can't use the money for really anything when you really think about it. Because at the end of the day, all you can use the money for is, again, gold bones, like we said, for the extra lives, and the boo and gem finders. What makes it even worse is that those boos and gems that you find, they're not even worth it. For the spoiler alert, in case people care about this, if you find all the boos, all you get is a special like strobe bulb with the boo image on it, and then for all the gems, you get a gemmed out suction shot skin for your pack. And I was like, wow, that's cool, but it's like by the end of the game, you're already out of the game. Like, I wish they would have added a lot more unlockables, which I'm glad that Nakaso met. Oh, what?
I will counterpoint that with that's never really been a thing of Luigi's Mansion, especially in the original entry. Gold meant absolutely nothing except for your final score. There was no purchasables, there was no unlockables. You never upgraded except for the three elemental coins that you got through the game that allowed you to shoot fire, ice, and water.
Yeah.
And those were all story unlockables. Those weren't actual like currency unlockables. And Dark Moon didn't have anything similar to that either. So that's just part of the course of Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. Well, here's the kicker, and I'm glad Nakaso told me about this. In the skyscraper, aka the multiplayer, they do have the skins. They do have the like level themed skins, like the Luigi Mamigi skin. They have the Disco Luigi skin. I was like, so they put all this stuff in the multiplayer, but they couldn't easily just put it in this game. Like, after you clear a floor, you can just freaking change skins because they have the systems in place. We've seen it it's built into the game, but for some reason they didn't include it in the in this game. And I guess like what Bard was saying, for the previous games, yeah, they didn't have that stuff, but it's like, again, if you're leaning into this idea of exploration and adventuring throughout this creepy hotel, it's like, I would just like to see more like rewards for it, for choosing to explore and go off the beaten path, because that's part of the fun, and unlocking cool stuff is part of the enjoyment, at least for me, for these kinds of games. And I just wish it had more reason for the money. So that's just that's my thing. And yeah, let's move on to question 6. Final question. What is your final verdict and final rating from 0 to 10 using a 0.5 scale? Take it away, Noxo.
Okay, so at the start of the game, my rating was pretty high. It was like, I was at a 9.5.
Dang.
The more I played,
Dang.
I was like, wow. Combat's super easy. I wish it was more difficult. Like, even though there was like many fun moments on different floors with the bosses or the stage itself, there was just things that I didn't like some of the confusion with the puzzles, like McMammy said. I didn't have like much trouble, but there were just like a handful that were really cryptic. EGAD didn't help. Just the same thing over and over. I was like, okay, well, thank you.
God, I know.
And the controls were pretty bad in a lot of boss fights, especially towards the latter half of the game. Like in the Boiler Works, I don't know why they decided to add tank controls for that final boss and going on the lifesaver.
Yeah, the floaty
down
thing.
the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your floaty, that was absolutely awful. A cool idea, but poor execution. A lot of waiting around during a lot of the boss fights. More than normal for a lot of Nintendo games where you just wait for like a minute, especially the last fight. I was like, oh my God, I was just waiting there. It was just absolutely boring. And of course, what Tubby said, the rewards for collecting everything, it just left me disappointed. There were also highlights I mentioned earlier, like the animations. The music is great. There's a ton of music in the game for very specific parts. And of course, like most Nintendo games, the sound design is pretty top notch. I don't regret my time with the game, but I do hope, like the next installment, like Bard said, they go back to a more difficult combat. Just have more stakes, and like McMahon said, it would be good to have more of a highlight for those who need it. And also make EGAD, please just make him say something. Please, he kept saying the same thing over and over that I already knew. For
The
some
hotline.
It's
The hotline.
it's only worse the further back you go. If you play the original, all he does is send you the same 4-line
Yeah,
text if you catch a boo. It was brutal. I was
yeah, it
so happy
was.
they made EGAD an actual character in this game.
Yeah, I'm glad they flushed it out, but man,
The
this.
hotline.
Oh, I never used. I mean, I
No.
used the hotline like at the start, but
Why have you
I'm just talking
forsaken
about.
me?
I just stopped. I was like, I'm good.
I'm good.
But but overall, uh, I still, man, I had so much fun. I still wanted to see what each floor consisted of, and just they're lucky that collecting money and sucking in the game was super fun. And I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10. Next.
Nice. Okay. Um. All right. My final verdict. I've played video games my whole life, for as long as I can remember. Luigi's Mansion 3 is hands down easily one of, if not the worst gaming experience I've ever had. Um, even before the puzzles. I didn't like it. Nothing appealed to me. I mean, sure, yeah, as some of you may have noticed, I have some personal emotional trauma from playing the game, but I genuinely didn't like the game, and it just sincerely didn't feel like a good game to me. And believe me, I tried to put my heart into it, as I do with every game, especially for VGBC. Um, but every moment I spent playing Luigi's Mansion, it was like sucking the soul out of me. Um, the I mean the controls, it felt like I was molesting my Joy Cons. There were too many goddamn mechanics, like so much in fact that in order to do your pathetic jump, you had to do a button combo of ZL and ZR, and that jump it provided zero movement. The, the combat was bland as hell. Depth perception was an absolute atrocity in some levels. The shop was severely lacking, which made collecting currency feel pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then as a game that was intended for an audience of all ages, children included, the puzzles did a wonderful job at absolutely breaking down my mental. I mean, I was absolutely livid playing this game. Um, I mean, Buns was here. She's she heard me raging at my Switch. I threw it at the couch one time because I was so upset with it. My final score for Luigi's Mansion 3 is a 1 out of 10. Next.
All right. A poorly executed entry into a beloved franchise, Luigi's Mansion 3 fell flat in every facet to me. Um, its story and character design were pathetic, and it just didn't feel like there was any actual character to the game. It didn't feel like I felt connected to any of the boss ghosts or the main characters, the friends that I had to rescue, or even our favorite Dr. Elvin Gad, or Professor Elvin Gad. Um, I was incredibly disappointed from start to beginning, going from a franchise that wanted to put emphasis on its characters, on its bosses, on its combat. It just became a lowly collectathon with some sucking involved, with some ghosts just scattered in there just to make it a game. It took its scary atmosphere from the original two and more haunted style and turned it into a flashy Toys R Us looking knockoff. And I just couldn't get behind it. Not a single part of that game resonated with me, which, as a lifetime fan of the franchise, it really disappointed me. Um, I unfortunately scored the game 3 out of 10. I wanted to go lower, but the puzzle diversity and the puzzle and floor diversity made the game just enjoyable enough to where I did end up playing it twice, and, well, 3 times actually, and would maybe recommend it to another Luigi's Mansion diehard just to say you finished it.
Hmm,
What about
okay.
you, Tubby? Take it home.
Okay. So for me, like personally, I really enjoyed my time with the game. It brought back some of that nostalgic Luigi's Mansion goodness I was looking for. But, you know, if you're a big fan of the original like me and like so many others, and you're hoping that this game will capture that feeling you first had when going into Luigi's Mansion 1, especially if you played the game as a kid, I'm sorry to break it to you, this is not going to capture that same magic. It's not even close. But you know what? That's okay. We get older, different game experiences, our perceptions change. It's perfectly fine. I still think Luigi's Mansion 3 is still a solid game in my opinion. Again, like I said before, I love how each of the floors in the hotel had a different theme. It was really the only thing that kept me pushing and kept going. I just really want to see what was on the next floor. And the physics and the simulation, oh my god, I can't say like how like underappreciated that is. Like the Switch being able to perform this amount of physics and simulation with the big suck is insane, especially for the Switch hardware. I'm just surprised at how optimized the game is, and just they're really, at least for me, I didn't really experience any frame drops. I think this game is like loaded to the brim with charm, and like again, while it's not at quite the level of other adventure games that we played for VGBC, you know, such as again, they're completely different game genres, but they still have that same like vibe, like Ratchet and Clank and Psychonauts 2. I think it's still a fun time, and as long as you don't mind like solving a puzzle or two while playing, it's just it. There's something here for you, and especially if you decide to play this game with like a younger family member, because I think Naxo told me someone can play as Luigi as well. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun little playthrough, you know, just to go through it. With that said, my final score, I'm giving Luigi's Mansion 3 a 8 out of 10. So with that said, here is the final score breakdown. Naxo gave the game an 8. Mr. McMahon gave the game a 1. Bard gave it a 3. And I gave it an 8. So calculating it all out, Luigi's Mansion 3 gets our final average rating of 20 out of 40 and is sitting at a 50%. So there you have it. That is the final score. We out here looking like a Metacritic review bomb score, but it doesn't matter. We all gave our honest opinions on the game, and that's all we can ask for here at Video Game Book Club. So yeah, and when you really think about it, everyone here, at least we all got to perform the big suck together, and in the end, isn't that what really matters? Big sucking amongst friends. So that's the big thing. But enough with that. It's time again. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but we're bringing it back. Nakuso, do you know what time it is?
It is a bonus mystery question time.
Bonus mystery question time. It's been a long time since we've done this. I think it's been like 6 or 7 book clubs, right, Meat? It's been a bit.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute. So
yeah, I remember I was like, what happened to that? We still doing that?
we did after, because I had to get more comfortable with the live stream format first.
Yeah. Okay.
But I figured I started to, you know, I'm trying to reincorporate it back in. But here's the question. Bonus mystery question. If you had to give the big boss suck on any ghost, who or what would it be and why? And this could be from anything from Nintendo's history. Just think of something, turn it into a ghost, make up a battle. How would it all work? Take it away, Naxo.
So I thought long and hard about this, but it's a game that would make a interesting boss, and that is Cooking Mama.
Oh my god!
Let's think about it, right? It's a cook-off. In the style of Cooking Mama, the main mechanic of the boss fight is sucking up the ingredients that is shown on the screen. You had to like gather your ingredients before she does, and then you put it into a pot where you begin a mini game. Like similar to the Cooking Mama series, you have to chop, pour, and stir in ingredients to cook the final dish, which has 3 effects depending on the dish. 1 lets you freeze her. Another gives you a big, powerful super suck, similar to the only one-time use, unless you do the additional puzzles in Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh man!
And the third allows you to blast air at a fast speed to stun a boss. For the second phase, is more the same, except there are additional obstacles like knives and a flaming Luigi chasing you.
Beautiful.
Afterwards, you can suck up that mama in the game
What?
to
Oh, okay.
unlock a special pastry vacuum and shelf outfit since the game doesn't want to do it itself.
Dang.
All right.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you. How about you, Meat?
Yeah, so I mean, originally, in my proof of completion submission, it was a little toxic. And after I submitted that, I took some time to meditate. I was like, all right, let's be real here. let's be real. Okay.
We ain't getting canceled today.
So my boss fight, I'd give the big suck to Mifa from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That a boy. That's what I was hoping. I mean, yeah, good choice.
Whoa, no way.
Whoa, hold up.
Yeah, so I could keep her in my vacuum for a friend's science project. So the fight would consist of you fighting a ghost Link because he don't want nobody to touch his wifey.
Mm-hmm.
So you win the fight by sucking up Link's sword. Okay, and then it just like falls on the ground or something.
Okay.
You use the plunger on his shield. Get rid of the shield. Then at which point, he has no sword and shield, so he's just gonna like throw a bomb chew at you or something. And then he'll run behind a pillar.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there's pillars on the battlefield. So you suck up the bomb, you shoot at the pillar, and the pillar crumbles, so he can no longer hide behind it. Then he throws another bomb at you and runs behind another pillar. And then you blow that one up, and then he picks up his sword and shield, and you repeat the process until all the pillars are gone. At which point all the pillars are gone, then you give Link the big suck and slam him until he's dead.
Dang.
And once Link is dead, then you slowly strut towards Mifa with swag in your step. You give her a wink, you hold the vacuum up to your pelvis, and then you suck her up.
Nice.
Yeah, man. That's the boss
Yeah,
fight.
that sounds like an engaging boss fight. Actually, both of your boss
Yeah.
fights.
I'd probably play the game again just for that fight.
Just for that moment.
just for that. But yeah, that's mine. What about you?
I
So stupid.
don't remember mine anymore after having to listen to those two, and B, can't fucking compete. Holy, wow!
Yeah, that's
Cooking
pretty good.
Mama and Mifa.
Cookie Mama and Mifa. Cult
Can I just
classic.
like concede? Like, there's no getting better than that.
I mean, if you can't think of anything, it's fine.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top.
All right.
Tell me what was your boss fight?
For me, might be ruffling some feathers here, but I think it'd be pretty funny. So,
Okay.
the boss fight you'd be facing, because you saw a reference of the virtual boy, the virtual boo. You'd be facing the ghost of Wii U's past, a giant demonic Wii U ghost. Now, it's like fighting style, like how it would face off against you. All of its gimmicks would be all the different attacks it uses. For instance, using a stylus to draw big, massive balls of energy and just quick sketches of Nintendo characters, launch it at Luigi, using the touchscreen of the Wii U, throwing ninja stars. Basically, that really sick Wii U launch trailer that failed to deliver on its promises? Basically, just take all of that, all the gimmicks that they showed, and just turn them into attacks. And if you somehow survive the gauntlet of attacks, all Luigi needs to do to beat it, because you don't want to use pronouns. We don't want to get attached to this thing. To beat it, you use your flashlight once, and then you suck it into the poltersuck because it only has 1 health, which is the equivalent of how many people actually bought the Wii U. I'm joking, you guys. Okay, it's a prank. I love the Wii U. I love Wii U.
Wait a minute, he said that about Armored Core.
I love Wii U. Hey, listen, the Wii U has something that the Switch doesn't, Wind Waker HD. So as long as that doesn't get ported to the Switch, the Wii U still has purpose. Amen.
I love my Wii U.
Anyways.
I need to know how many guns are being held up to his head right now.
Nintendo's corporate ninjas. I just heard some rustling in the bushes back there. I'm scared. Guys, help.
Hello?
Oh my god, that's pretty good. So we got Mifa, Cookie Mama, and a Wii U. Sounds like a good time.
I just need to. I need to. Actually, Mifa's a teenager.
Uh-oh.
She's a fish, dude.
Yo, what?
Okay, so I did search it up, and according to
Bard Wood.
.com,
Uh-huh.
I need to expose Meat for the man he truly is. Her age is
door, bro.
her age of 55 is considered to be a teenager by her people.
Dang.
No. That's still good. 55
But that's ghost age, right? Does that count? Anyways, that could be its own video.
Whatever, she dies anyway. What do you want?
Spoilers.
Whoa. Good meme. Hey, you guys have plenty of time. That game came out like 20,000 years ago.
Doesn't mean I finished it.
Anyways, that concludes this episode of Video Game Book Club. Thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join the Video Game Book Club Discord and play and discuss video games alongside us and the community, link will be in the description box below. With that said, take care, have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Video Game Book Club. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.